What I'm about to explain is an uncomfortable truth, one that operates in the silent subtextual layers of male-female dynamics. It's a pattern most men never consciously identify, often because they are too busy internalizing the chaos, believing the problem must lie within themselves. But once this pattern is illuminated, it becomes impossible to ignore. You will start to see its fingerprints all over your past relationships and interactions. You'll recall the woman who was intensely engaged one day and distant the next for no discernible reason. You'll remember the compliments that felt backhanded, the teasing that had a sharp edge, the sudden withdrawal after a moment of profound connection. At the time, it felt like confusion, like a puzzle you were desperately trying to solve. But it wasn't random. It was a test. This is the twisted paradox of deep attraction. The common fantasy sold to us by culture and a deep-seated desire for simplicity is that when a woman truly desires a man, her behavior will be a linear reflection of that interest. She will be sweeter, more attentive, more emotionally available, and more consistent. Her actions will make you feel secure and valued. While this can be true in mature, secure partnerships, the initial stages of attraction, especially when the spark is intense, often trigger a completely different, more primal script. For many women, a powerful, genuine attraction isn't just a positive feeling. It's also a threat. It represents a loss of control, a vulnerability that can be terrifying. When she meets a man who embodies the qualities she truly desires, confidence, purpose, emotional stability, doesn't just make her feel good. It makes her feel exposed. Her guard, often built over years of past experiences and social conditioning, goes up. The very strength that draws her to you is the same strength that threatens to dismantle her. It's emotional defenses. This is where the dynamic turns from straightforward affection into a subtle, often cruel, power play. The desire she feels is laced with fear, the fear of being the one who cares more, the fear of your perceived power to reject her, the fear of losing herself in the connection. To manage this internal panic, she unconsciously flips the script. She cannot allow herself to be the vulnerable one, so she must make you vulnerable instead. She becomes the provocateur, the evaluator, the one holding the cards. This is the origin of the test. Her pullback isn't a rejection. It's a strategic retreat designed to gauge your pursuit. Her sharp comment isn't a genuine critique. It's a probe to see if you'll flinch. Her sudden indifference after an amazing date isn't a loss of interest. It's an experiment to measure her power over your emotional state. The cruelest part is that this behavior is almost exclusively reserved for the men she genuinely wants. The average guy, the one she feels lukewarm about or can easily manage, receives her polite, even sweet demeanor. There is no risk with him, so there is no need for tests. He doesn't trigger the deep-seated fear of vulnerability because his opinion doesn't hold enough weight to wound her. But you, the man who possesses real strength, the one with options, the one who doesn't seem to need her validation, you are a threat to her emotional equilibrium. Your calm confidence is disarming. Your ability to walk away without devastation is both magnetic and terrifying. So, she engages in these subtle acts of emotional sabotage not out of malice, but out of a desperate, subconscious need for reassurance. She needs to know that the strength she sees is real and not a facade. She needs to see if you will break. Because if you break under her relatively minor provocations, how could you possibly hold her together when real-life storms hit? This is why the men who are most confused and hurt in dating are often the ones who women are most initially attracted to. They are playing a game they don't even know exists, following a rule book that was written in invisible ink. They believe that logic and kindness should prevail. If I show her I'm a good guy, she'll be nice to me. But this isn't about logic. It's about biology and emotional psychology. It's about the primal need to find a partner who is emotionally resilient, who can provide stability not just materially, but psychologically. Her tests are a perverted, dysfunctional way of assessing that resilience. She is trying to create a small, controlled storm to see if your boat will rock. And when you, confused and earnest, start scrambling, texting to ask if everything is okay, trying to win her back with affection after she's been cold, Getting defensive when she picks at an insecurity, you are showing her that your boat is, in fact, easily capsized. You are proving her fears correct, and in doing so, you are extinguishing the very attraction that sparked the test in the first place. It's a brutal, self-fulfilling prophecy, where her fear of your weakness creates the behavior that confirms it, all while you are left standing in the wreckage, wondering what you did wrong. The answer is, you didn't do anything wrong. You were just being you. And that was so powerful, it scared her. The tests a woman employs when she feels a powerful attraction are rarely a conscious, calculated strategy. To label them as such is to misunderstand their origin. They are not born from a place of malice, but from a place of deep subconscious fear. This fear manifests as a series of emotional probes, each designed to answer a single, fundamental question that her logical mind may not even be aware of asking. Are you safe? Safety in this primal context has nothing to do with physical protection and everything to do with emotional fortitude. It's the safety of knowing that when her own emotional world becomes turbulent, as it inevitably will be, the unshakable anchor, not another wave crashing into her. She is not testing your loyalty with questions about other women. She is testing your core stability with challenges to your frame. The methods of this testing are varied, but follow a predictable pattern of creating controlled chaos. The pullback is one of the most common. After a moment of intense connection or vulnerability, she will withdraw. The texts become shorter, the plans harder to pin down, the energy distant. This isn't necessarily because she regrets the intimacy. She is creating a vacuum to see how you fill it. Does your energy become anxious? Do you double down on communication, seeking reassurance? Or do you remain unfazed, respecting her space while continuing to move forward in your own life with calm purpose? Your reaction tells her everything. If you chase into that vacuum, you demonstrate that your emotional state is dependent on her presence, which reads as weakness. If you hold your ground, you demonstrate a self-contained wholeness that is profoundly attractive. Another common test is the sharp probe or subtle criticism. She might mock a hobby you're passionate about, make a lighthearted jab at your career ambitions, or playfully question one of your core values. On the surface, it seems like teasing, but her focus is locked on your response. This is a direct challenge to your self-worth. Is your confidence so fragile that a single comment can make you defensive, angry, or cause you to abandon what you love? Or do you receive it with amused indifference? Perhaps with a playful pushback that shows you heard her, but her opinion doesn't define your reality. By remaining unoffended, you prove that your sense of self is not built on external validation, especially not hers. You show her that you are, in fact, the rock she is searching for. Perhaps the most confusing test is the indifference mask. After she feels a surge of genuine desire, she will often cloak it in a performance of nonchalance. She might accidentally mention another man, take hours to reply to a message she was clearly eager for, or act as if a deeply personal conversation never happened. This is her attempt to regain a sense of power and control over the dynamic. The attraction she feels is so potent, it threatens to overwhelm her, so she builds this wall of indifference to protect herself. She is watching to see if you will try to dismantle the wall by getting jealous, by demanding to know why she's changed, by trying to force the intimacy back to its previous level. Each of these reactions is a form of needing her to behave a certain way for you to feel stable. The man who passes simply acknowledges the new dynamic without panic, understanding it for what it is, a symptom of her fear, not a reflection of his value. He doesn't play the game of competing for her attention. He remains in his own center, secure in the knowledge that his value is not up for debate. Ultimately, every test, in all its forms, is a request for leadership. It is a dysfunctional, often frustrating, but deeply ingrained way for her to determine if you can be the captain of the ship when the waters get rough. Her subconscious mind is conducting a stress test on your emotional infrastructure. If you remain composed, grounded, and detached from the need for her to validate you, you pass. You communicate through your energy, not your words. That you are capable of holding space for her complexity without being consumed by it. This is the foundation upon which real trust is built. The moment she internalizes this truth that you are unshakable, the tests begin to lose their purpose. The chaos subsides, not because you defeated her, but because your unwavering presence made her feel safe enough to finally be still. The moment a test is initiated, a man stands at a crossroads. The path he chooses, often guided by his deepest insecurities and conditioning, will determine the entire future of the dynamic. The man who fails is not necessarily a bad man. In fact, his intentions are frequently noble. He operates from a place of genuine care and a desire for harmony, but his methods are tragically misguided. He misinterprets her test of his strength as a cry for more of his emotional investment. Seeing her pull away, he assumes he has not been loving enough, attentive enough, or open enough. This is the critical error. He believes the solution to her fear is to dismantle his own boundaries and pour more of himself into the void she has created. He becomes the nice guy negotiator, trying to love his way out of a power struggle. His tactics are predictable and rooted in neediness. He begins to over-communicate, sending long, thoughtful texts, analyzing their connection, seeking reassurance, and trying to verbally logic her back into a state of affection. He becomes more accommodating, softening his opinions, canceling his own plans to remain available to her, and showering her with unearned affection in the hope that it will appease her coldness. When she makes a sharp comment, he gets defensive, or, worse, internalizes it as a truth, starting to doubt his own worth. He attempts to prove his value by listing his accomplishments or his good qualities, not realizing that the very act of proving yourself is an admission that you feel you need to, in a desperate attempt to regain the connection he chases. He double texts, he asks, "Are you mad at me?" He offers grand romantic gestures to win back her favor. Every one of these actions is a catastrophic misread of the situation. He is trying to fill her vacuum with his own anxiety, and in doing so, broadcasts a devastating message. Your emotional state dictates my own. I need your validation to feel stable. Her subconscious receives this message with chilling clarity. The strong, centered man she was initially drawn to has vanished, replaced by someone seeking her approval. His bending frame confirms her deepest fear, that his strength was a performance. And he is, in fact, emotionally pliable and weak. The attraction she felt, which was based on the promise of stability, evaporates. She may temporarily enjoy the validation of his pursuit, but respect is lost. She now sees him as someone she can control, and we are not authentically attracted to those we can fully control. The dynamic becomes parent-child, not man-woman. He is left confused and resentful, believing his kindness was rejected, when in reality, it was his weakness that was exposed. The man who prevails takes the other path. He understands that her test is not a problem to be solved with words, but a storm to be weathered with presence. His core strategy is not to act, but to be. He embodies a principle that seems counterintuitive to the failing man. He prioritizes his own emotional sovereignty over the immediate comfort of the connection. When she pulls away, he doesn't perceive it as a personal rejection or an emergency. He sees it for what it is, her process. He gives her space without punishment or panic. He remains engaged but non-reactive. His focus remains steadfastly on his own mission, his own life, and his own purpose. He understands that his most attractive quality is not his attention, but his absence, an absence filled with a life so compelling that his return is a gift. When she delivers a sharp probe or a subtle criticism, he does not flinch. He might respond with playful, amused indifference, deflecting the barb without taking it personally. He does not get defensive because his self-worth is not on the table for negotiation. He knows his own value and does not require her to validate it. This unshakable inner certainty is magnetic. It communicates that he is grounded in a reality that her mood swings cannot alter. He does not chase her when she creates distance. He holds his frame, maintaining his standards and boundaries. If her behavior crosses a line into disrespect, he doesn't lecture or plead. He simply and calmly disengages, demonstrating that his presence is a privilege, not a right. His energy says, "I would prefer you here, but I do not need you here. The state of this connection does not dictate the state of my soul." This calm, powerful indifference is not coldness. It is clarity. It is the embodiment of strength. By refusing to be drawn into her emotional storm, he becomes the anchor. He provides the very safety her subconscious was desperately testing for. His unwavering frame proves that he is capable of leading not by controlling her, but by controlling himself. In this stillness, her anxiety begins to calm. She realizes that her chaos has no power over him, and paradoxically, this makes her feel secure enough to stop creating it. She starts to trust him, not because he promised her the world, but because he showed her he is the kind of man who can handle it. The man who fails tries to win her by changing his behavior. The man who prevails wins her respect by refusing to change who he is. To navigate this dynamic effectively, you must move beyond seeing her behavior as a personal attack and understand it as a symptom of a deeper internal conflict. The tests are not fundamentally about you, but about her. They are the external manifestation of an internal war between her deep-seated attraction and her even deeper-seated fears. This is the crucial shift in perspective that separates the man who is victimized by these games from the man who understands them. Her actions are a dysfunctional coping mechanism, a form of emotional self-defense triggered by the perceived threat of your value. When a woman has unresolved wounds, perhaps from past betrayals, a lack of secure attachment in childhood, or a history of chaotic relationships, her template for love is often intertwined with drama and uncertainty. Stability feels unfamiliar, and the unfamiliar, even when it's healthy, is often perceived by the nervous system as a threat. Your calm, grounded presence doesn't initially feel like peace to her. It feels like boredom, or worse, like a prelude to a pain she isn't yet prepared for. This is where the sabotage begins. A woman who does not believe, on a subconscious level, that she deserves a consistent, high-value man will often work to dismantle the very connection she craves. She will stir up drama, pick fights over nothing, or create emotional distance after moments of intimacy. This isn't logical. It's psychological. Internally, she is screaming, "This can't be real." The stability you offer feels unearned and therefore untrustworthy. To make the external world match her internal world where she is unworthy and love is painful, she will inject chaos into the dynamic. By doing so, she either confirms her core belief if you leave, or, if you stay, she gets to test the limits of your strength. She is trying to answer the terrifying question, if you see the real messy, chaotic me, will you still stay? But she doesn't ask this vulnerably. She acts it out destructively. Your role in this is not to be her therapist or her savior. It is not your job to heal her wounds or convince her of her worth. That is an internal journey she must undertake herself. Your role is to be the unwavering leader of your own life and the dynamic you share. This is where the concept of frame becomes paramount. Your frame is your personal reality, your boundaries, your standards, your worldview, and your emotional center. When she acts out, she is attempting to pull you into her chaotic frame. Where drama reigns and emotional reactions are the currency of control, the man who gets lost is the one who abandons his own frame, trying to fix, soothe, or negotiate within hers. He tries to love her out of her dysfunction, only to find himself drowning alongside her. The man who prevails understands that the only way to lead her out of the storm is to remain steadfastly anchored in his own. He holds frame. This means he observes her behavior with clarity and compassion, but without enmeshment. He does not absorb her chaos or make it his own. When she creates drama, he doesn't engage in the argument. He remains calm and detached. When she withdraws, he doesn't chase. He continues living his fulfilling life. When she tests a boundary, he doesn't explode or plead. He calmly enforces it, often through simple, non-reactive action. He understands that his greatest power lies in his emotional discipline, his ability to remain unshakable, even when she is trying her hardest to shake him. This is not about being cold or unloving. It is about providing the one thing her chaotic world lacks: a solid, immovable structure. By holding your frame, you are not rejecting her. You are offering her a safe harbor. You are demonstrating through your actions that there is a different way to exist, a way where emotions can be felt without dictating behavior, where conflict can occur without connection breaking, and where love does not have to be earned through pain. Your unwavering presence becomes a mirror, reflecting back to her the consequences of her own behavior. It forces her to confront a simple, powerful choice: either calm her own storm and step into the peace of your frame, or remain in her chaos without you. You cannot negotiate this choice for her. You can only exemplify the standard. By protecting your own peace, you are not abandoning her. You are giving her the opportunity to rise to meet you, and in doing so, you offer the only genuine chance for a healthy, sustainable connection to take root. The ultimate goal is not to become a master at passing a woman's tests, but to evolve into a man who is fundamentally untestable. This is the final, transformative stage of understanding. It is a shift from an external focus worrying about her behavior, decoding her signals, managing her emotions, to an unshakable internal foundation. This is not about manipulating outcomes, but about embodying a state of being so solid and self-contained that the very concept of a test loses its meaning. There is nothing to test, because your center of gravity is located so deeply within yourself that no external force can disrupt your equilibrium. This is the essence of true power, and it is the only reliable path to attracting and keeping a high-quality partner. This journey begins with a ruthless commitment to self-respect. It means that your worth is non-negotiable and not up for debate. You internalize the understanding that you are the prize. This isn't an arrogant proclamation to the world, but a quiet, unshakable knowing that guides your actions. A man who knows his worth does not beg for attention. He does not tolerate disrespect. He does not stay in situations that consistently diminish his peace. His love and attention are valuable commodities, and he invests them wisely in those who demonstrate they are worthy of the investment. This is the foundation of all healthy boundaries. They are not walls to keep people out, but gates that clearly mark where your property begins, ensuring that only those who respect the space are allowed to enter. From this foundation of self-respect flows emotional discipline. This is the practical application of your inner strength. It is the ability to feel your emotions, the sting of rejection, it's the heat of anger, the ache of confusion without being controlled by them. When she pulls away, the undisciplined man feels a panic that compels him to chase. The disciplined man feels the same pang of disappointment, but he observes it, processes it, and chooses a response aligned with his principles, not his fears. He does not send the reactive text. He does not make the desperate phone call. He allows the silence to exist, trusting that his peace is more valuable than his panic. This discipline is what makes him dangerous in the best possible way, dangerous to the games and manipulations of others, because he cannot be baited into an emotional reaction. His composure is his fortress. This level of self-mastery naturally leads to a state of sovereign energy. You are the king of your own inner kingdom. Your mood, your mission, and your sense of purpose are dictated by your own values and goals, not by the approval or behavior of a woman. You operate from a place of preference, not need. You prefer her company. You enjoy her affection, but you do not need it to feel whole. This is the most magnetic state a man can occupy. Neediness repels because it is a burden. Sovereignty attracts because it is a gift. When you are whole and complete on your own, a woman can love you without the pressure of having to complete you. She is free to add to your life, not become the purpose of it. When you embody this trinity of self-respect, emotional discipline, and sovereign energy, you stop chasing love and start attracting it. You become a filter for the kind of woman you deserve. The women who are emotionally immature, who thrive on chaos and control, will find you uninteresting and impenetrable. They will bounce off your calm energy and move on in search of someone they can manipulate. This is not a loss. It is a blessing. The women who are self-aware, secure, and ready for a real partnership will be drawn to your stability like a magnet. They will see in you the one thing they truly crave, a man who provides the emotional safety for them to soften, to be vulnerable, and to love without fear. They will not need to test you because your presence is the proof. You are no longer a player in their game. You are the architect of your own world, inviting her to share in the peace and purpose you have built. This is how you break the cycle. Not by winning the game, but by changing it entirely.